Watch, well, a lot of you have watched a show called Star Trek. And it's interesting that Sheldon would be, uh, with how illogical a lot of the storylines were, if a wolf in the fold, that Jack the Ripper would be an entity that feeds off fear. And that's not human. It's like, are you kidding? Human beings are addicts. A lot of them are addicts. They feed off of feeling powerful. Okay? Like they talked about with rape, they said it's not about the sex, it's about the feeling powerful. It's the adrenaline, the brainwash of having power over other people, what they perceive as power. It's not power. Okay, power is the essence, the what provides the sun and what provides photosynthesis and H2O and stuff. That's power. Okay. The essence of existence and what comes together for creation to provide existence is power. Okay. Anything else is just a little manipulative turd thinking that their shit is power. Hey, fed you shit and you died. I'm powerful. Right. And so that kind of magical thinking, that Jack the Ripper, that from hell, that sum of all fears, that kind of magical thinking, that kind of Cam Clancy thinking, that kind of Hughes Brothers thinking, okay, feeds off of people's primal fears of being abused by people that try to get addicted to being Henry Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. I feel like God, and you're like, that lady's like, after watching that, how could you marry that dude? Seriously? That's a weird motherfucker. But rich people that have been manipulating people for thousands of years through mythology are like that. Okay. And it's a human invention. It's not God's creation, right? It's a human invention. It's taking creation and turning it into an abomination or apostate or, that's what happens when people bastardize the truth of creation, right? It turns into a manipulative invention that makes people, oh, that's, Jack the Ripper. And you're watching that. When I was watching that, the guy go, how can it be? It's like, these people are from other planets, right? I don't think at this other planet that they would study Jack the Ripper in the year 3000 and whatever it is, in Star Trek time. You're like watching it going, okay, guys, do you understand the storyline? Do you understand what's going here? Do you understand the logical, Captain? Shelley, you go get your stuff and have Mr. Spock take you away to save the future. Right. Don't you think someone that's intelligent and a quantum physicist would sit there and just rip those shows to shreds? Right? Don't you think? You wouldn't be able to enjoy Star. You'd be like Amy Farrah Fowler with da na 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 na, and the one person eats that person and defecates that person. Right, still probably trying to process that, and you do eat and defecate that person because of the apple tree outside of Daniel Webster's church where he where he kept worship, right? So what the neuroscientist is saying applies in physics, so you don't have to digest it, you just understand it, of what she was saying to Sheldon about neuroscience as opposed to theoretical physics. He eats, the neuroscience eats that one, defecates the other, and the applied physicist is trying to, so how are you having trouble applying that in physics? You don't even have to go into theoretical physics about that one. Eats that and defecates that, yeah. The apple tree outside of Daniel Webster's church. We become the grass. It's humaya, huma pickle pie, right? But instead of a healthy life of sacrifice, we have children being born with petroleum in them, being poisoned to death, and then you could come to Pima Institute, come to this, real jobs to the real world, be a medical transcriptionist, a medical this. So participate economically in the torture of your relatives and wonder why you're still having entertainment about Jack the Ripper from hell with Johnny Depp and Hagrid. and Bilbo Baggins, right? That's just batshit crazy. Of course it's batshit crazy, right? And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Like there are no flying monkeys. There are no 8 armed purple ladies. You know, products of your imagination to manipulate children. You know, like with the Krampus or whatever in Germany and stuff. That's just, to keep people on the straight and narrow, you have to give them like, remember in my sociology class she was like a coach. I loved that teacher. She was a sweetheart. I liked her a lot. I was always ask myself, what the fuck am I doing in this class at Cruces High School with all the student body government and the foreign exchange students? I ended up in that class. I was like, how the fuck? I'm in remedial this, remedial that. And then I end up in this honors level class, right? The only one I was ever in because I stopped doing math. But it had to do with sociology and history, and I had high scores in all those. Yes, I was okay. It was going up the food chain. Okay, and I'm a history major. So yeah, so in sociology, social studies and history were my, how to stop the abuse of the present from the past and the future. That's always been my big thing. And so just do the math, which is math, right? So you're sitting there, and 2 and 2 is 4. I'm an excellent driver. 20 minutes to Wapner. I'm a high potential, phenomenal phenom of better than Scientology's imagination, using my imagination, right? And so they were sitting there, and they would always get into, and I would always the girls in the class, especially the Asian girl, this guy's a pervert, right? And they sat there and they talked about this one lady was a teacher, a fellow teacher. She had a daughter that was 17 with Down syndrome. And she sat there and she said to the girl, you cannot French kiss a boy, it will get you pregnant. And I go, oh, great. And she goes, what? She goes, so the boy will sit there and say, okay, we can't French kiss, but I'm going to put we're going to take our clothes off and then, the daughter will end up pregnant. But Mom, I didn't French kiss him. And the Asian girl, he's a pervert. It's like, no, that's exactly she goes, I knew Earl would say something about it. I knew he would sit there and go, because I was raised by my dad and my mom, and sure, you'd be right in thinking that don't put shit on a plate and call it steak and tell me it's steak, right? And so I sit there and go, no, it's bullshit. Like when they got mad at me with because they all had a crush on the South African guy. Okay. And he started talking about how bad the blacks were. They're criminals and they're horrible people. And then I sit there and I got really mad one day. I had enough of them and said, oh, that's mighty fucking white. I said, that's mighty white of you. And the teacher let me go because this is the United States of America, right? I go, we can't really criticize because the stuff that you guys do in your country today, we were doing in the Southeast in our country 20 years ago, 20 years ago, it was in the 80s, 20 years ago. Okay, we were just, as big a bunch of self-righteous hypocrites too. But it doesn't make it right, and you don't need to sit there and justify these people angry behaviors. Like I explained to Perry Gargunis, we let the people eat at our table, and they still had to come in through the back because it was just tradition. You had a back door for the help. He goes, but we let them eat at their table and treated them, like one of the family when they came to work for us. So they still stole from us. I was like, wow, yeah, imagine that. You ever seen there's an Adrian Brody movie. He was a doctor, and he's German. He ends up in Kenya. I can't remember the name of the movie. But they had a part in there, and the guy, he wanted to go back to Germany, where he's from. But he couldn't go back because they were killing all the Jews and liquidating their assets. So he was a physician, right? He ended up in Kenya. And he was sitting there, and one day, the black Kenyan man was explaining to the, he was explaining the culture to him. He said, if you have a cow and a man steals your cow, you forget about it. You forget about it, and you go back to work, and you get another cow, and you take care of your family with that cow. But if someone comes and takes all your land that was yours and your family's land for 10,000 years, and Brody's character is a Jew, so he can understand this, you never forget about it. Okay? You wake up every morning saying, I'm supposed to have promised land. I'm supposed to lie in green pastures next to still waters. I'm supposed to be a shepherd of the flock of this mitava, right? The glory of creation provided this for you to love your family and to shepherd the flock and not be a wolf pack, but a man that protects the flock from the wolf pack. Because we're human beings that understand the glory of God and the nature of our existence. Love nature, love one another. Because nature don't love you. Okay? If you kill each other with automobiles and war machines and economics, nature will try to kill you to stop what you're doing to nature. Okay? So love one another. As far as love nature, that will take care of itself. You bullshit artist with all your fucking robot voices and shit. Fuck off. I'm Grace's good shepherd, bitch. Who's afraid of me? My name means... My first name is Germanic, and which the British are. Roof, which means Wolf Clan leader. Okay. My middle name is Earl, which means Lord in Britain. Okay. That Earl is a lord. Okay. Parsons means lay preacher, the one who protects the poor from the wealthy. And Junior is redneck for the second coming of his father. You know, Wolf Clan leader, Lord, lay preacher, second coming of his father's, to protect his father's tribe from, to let us be us, So Ragnarok, as I remember trying to explain that to Chris Baldwin. It's the way Rockefeller works. It's the way Rockefeller works. He hated people. They ain't worth a shit. He goes, that Baldwin kid, man, he was a heroin addict, and you sit there and explain, no, I go through worse pain through drug and alcohol poisoning than any heroin or alcoholics, and the government puts it in my body because the military is jealous of me. And it hurts, so you understand my pain. And they, Odin, and, he said, I said something about Jesus, he said, fuck Jesus. After I gave him money out of my paycheck to keep him from going to jail, so he'd lose his job. He'd lose his job. If they send you back to jail because you don't have the money to pay your court fees, you'll get fired. Okay? And I didn't want that for Chris and the girl he was living with and the kids. So I said, here's the money. He never paid me back. I never asked him to. I said, no, I'm honored to do it. Just keep taking care of your family, right? And just remember, it was a man who worships like Jesus and doesn't worship Odin that did this for you, because this is the way, Odin, take care of yourself. Kill the other tribe before they kill yours. You watch the goddamn Vikings on A&E and shit, right? And so Rockefeller hated Baldwin. Okay? People like Baldwin. Rockefeller was dead in 2017 before that happened, but his foundation, carry on our wayward son, life's eternal and grace is infinite. Okay? He put these wheels into motion to teach me a lesson. You can't save Chris Baldwin. You can't save any of these people. You can't even save most of your family. They're not worth saving. Val, let's talk about Mom's pickup truck. That paperwork I was supposed to take to Dee Dee to sign off, paying off the car when Mom died. I never took it. Oh, then I don't want to talk about the pickup truck. Right? And she ain't changed. No, and she really hasn't. No. It's all about her. And Jesus died to take care of her and her family. And if you don't believe Jesus died to take care of her and her family, Jesus is going to send you to hell to be tortured eternally because you don't agree with her. That's just mean. That's just crazy. That's the way the Stockholm Syndrome of the Roman, of the Wolf Clan, of the Romans work, right? If your kid is a mongrel and a demon-possessed baby, we put it out on a rock and feed it to the wolves. Not to corrupt our great people, our great Adonis warrior clan of the great protectors and sexy protectors of TV spokesmodels. And it's more to life than being really, really ridiculously good looking. Yes, being a Shaolin priest who trains all day to kill people that try to kill the other temples. Okay. What did Jesus do? Did he kill all the Romans to try to protect all the people from raping them into Rome? Or did he leave us a standard of how to worship the truth of creation so the soul can be free from the delusions of the body and the mind. How Krishna of you, how Nirvana of you, how Buddha of you, how Shinto of you. Don't come back a shinobi. There you go. Okay? You'll find that when understanding truth, you don't try to eliminate other people's perception of truth to only have them accept your perception of truth. As there's one question I'd really like to ask, is there a place for the hopeless sinner who has hurt all mankind to try to preserve his perception of creation and nobody else's? Okay? Your perception of creation has to be based on faith, based on reality. Okay? So it has to have a standard. It has to hold water. One day the bucket will go to the well, one day the bucket will drop out. Bob Marley, okay, got lost and tried to worship Haile Selassie. All the songs, when you listen to his songs, you're like, that is so brilliant and way more intelligent than the stuff you hear out of the Rastafarian bullshit artist, come from the Messiah, okay? Not from those voodoo guys that he hung out with and discussed and debated and got the wrong linguistics of the teachings, okay? And the people that sit down and had very serious conversations with Haile Selassie about nature and the essence of all things and stuff like that. In the United States, the two that actually sat and talked to the man and looked into the other things about a man they talked about named Jiddu Krishnamurti, who addressed the UN in 1985. Okay, all the people in America that stood up to do anything about that only gave it lip service, and if they tried to do more than lip service, they ended up getting shot in Dallas or California. I don't know about Harlem. Harlem, he was talking to me. The man who was murdered in Harlem was talking to me. The man who was murdered in Memphis, he was praying to the spirit of, when they were looking, it was told Stokely Carmel, I'm coming out against the Vietnam War because it's genocide, right? So they were talking to the line of me. It's just another part of me, right? You understand? Okay. So all the people that we had that could significantly change the landscape of me being in this chair and talking and doing these videos right now, your taxpayer dollars and technology murdered to put us exactly where we are right now, right? Sometimes, I know life works out just perfectly. Everything's the way that it should be, but sometimes I can't, where my heart feels like aching, and anywhere is where I'd rather be. When people don't want to live the commands of the Messiah so they can have the delusions of freedom to fight and kill over what they want, that's human invention. That's not God's creation reflecting the faithful love of gratitude for the life and the glory of God. Okay? We're not animals, we're human beings. And human beings react differently animals react differently to human beings when treated in the manner they should be, like in the book of Daniel. Even if those animals are sacrificed to feed human beings. Allah Akbar, halal, kosher. Do you understand? Okay. Wrapping it in plastic and labeling it kosher does not make it kosher. Putting it in plastic and calling it kadim does not make it kadim. They're vain repetitions and there are many words and there are vain repetitions. That does not make it right. In order to do things right, it has to be done in the proper faith. And proper faith requires evidence of there ain't no hiding place from the truth of creation, right? So it's very important, extremely important, especially where technology is at right now, okay? And all the people in this valley that think they are in control of the technology is not an assassination machine. Okay? When people do extreme things in military networks, a lot of them end up getting killed. That's why they use robots, because if you robot and the robot shuts down, you can reprogram it, reboot it, recalibrate the system, and put in another robot, put in robotic systems. You just shut down that portion and then put in, and then in order to move in to do physical applications, you build a robot. Then you send in another robot. Then you don't have the panic. Everybody, my dad worked at and that Parsons guy got him killed. He's an idealist and he gets people killed, right? No, they get themselves killed, Okay. Like I told that pretentious black man that wrote books about the Bible and the Quran and everything. And when he came in with his daughter and they came to mock me about how wrong I was, he told me Moses was murderer. I said Moses was not a murderer. Moses asked that man to stop beating that Hebrew to death, who the Egyptians considered a dog or not even human. It was brown people acting like he was just beating Dred Scott. 3/5 of a man. It was his property. And if his property kills him in the night or doesn't comply and could kill him in the night and try to rape his wife and make his wife be the house servant, you kill him. It's a mongrel. It's bad. Okay? That's what that black, dark Egyptian was doing to that lighter skinned Canaanite or Hebrew. And Moses commanded him to stop beating that person to death, that what he was doing was wrong. The man ignored him, and Moses was from the house of Pharaoh, the living God. When Moses went to stop him, the man fell to his death. The man, regardless of what you think the circumstances were, was through social convention and written laws required to obey Moses when he told him to stop, cease and desist, Cat in the Hat. Stop using that to pay for your comedy routine. Cease and desist, right? So Moses was not a murderer. That cease and desist lawyer, Keller and Keller, Michael Gopin just happened, killed himself with Cassim, Vias, and Enderman. If it's cheap to be unsafe, people will be unsafe. Your life is priceless. Money is a whore. She'll lie with anybody. Trust, honor, and character will only lie with those who are worthy. When I am the living word, you can take me off of Facebook. It's not going to stop me from correcting all the computers that run even Facebook from YouTube. You think you're in control of the technology. You're not even in control of your own genitalia and your own bad brain activity. So he eats Clark Maxwell and defecates Friedrich Lieberich or whatever. I don't know, don't care. Those people are completely irrelevant to me. They won't stand for truth, for their children to live truthful lives so they can faithfully love one another. So I don't give a fuck about Clark Maxwell and Friedrich Nietzsche and Friedrich Lieberich, and I'm even sick of hearing about Isaac Newton. Anybody in their right mind would be. His laws, they're not his laws. They're his observation of understanding of laws that were required to maintain our existence through the truth of creation. Okay, if you're going to say something, say it correctly. Otherwise, don't say anything at all. Just ask for more money to fuck and go look at the penguins on the South Pole and think how great it is that you're the new, expansion of the egotism of Marlon Perkins and Jacques Cousteau. Go put a man on the moon, right? Why? How do you feed children on the moon? How do you provide high quality H2O on the moon? Okay. The only thing you can do on the moon is look at what might come and destroy your civilization from space, because your civilization is causing something from space to come and destroy it. It's not that fucking hard, Conan the Destroyer, Galactus, Devourer of Worlds. Hey, look, it's a Silver Surfer. No, it's a Silver Spooner. Yeah, that was kind of funny. But it's not funny anymore because money isn't real and you don't need it to fuck. I am the light, I am the way, none unto the faith of the Father except unto me. Who's afraid of a big bad wolf? I'm the Wolf Clan leader. Grace is good shepherd. I'm not afraid of Zeke. He's a good dog. Okay. Boy, I'll get you another one. Yeah, old Kate. You can't take those memories away with Emily. Daddy, it's so easy you can't make those memories away of Noah being the protector of the playground of all the kids with disabilities being abused by all the mindset of the perverts at Fort Huachuca. You can't take away. You can't take away the good times I had with Steffi and Amy, even though they were few and far between. I had a lot more good times with the kids. Yeah, it's true. You're going to have a dysfunctional, abusive sex life when you're surrounded by a bunch of perverts who think they can use sex to control you. You have a lot better time with the kids. Yeah, okay. And Natalie is my protector. Natalie reminds me of, I told her that many times, she reminds me of Edna, Miriam, and Michelle Bowen. And that's the best compliment I can ever give a woman, right? And my ma, yeah, my ma too. I told you, ma would have loved Michelle. Oh my gosh. She loved Edna too. She met Edna. She loved Miriam. And Miriam was a Leo, which was a Leo. That mom was always, Paul was a Leo, her best protector. And yeah, Paul Bruton. Yeah, I was like, but ma, he's square you. Yeah, but he was protector of her and he protected her. And yeah, so Leo. Hey, Obama, get your shit together. Be more like Paul Bruton there. Yeah. All the women of the world are wildflowers. Okay. Well, you don't need to pollinate them all, but you need to protect all the wildflowers. Let her cry for she's a let her dream for she's a child. Let the rain fall down upon her. She's and if allowed just one possession, I would take her from the barn. You don't have a possession, but you do have a holy covenant. So take her from the garden to be yours. And then love the daughters, to be just like her. All right, guys, I love you very much. I hope Miriam's okay. Wonder what she's doing now. Edna too, yeah. I was going to ask Punchy, what's the name of the granddaughter? Does she look like her mommy? What's she like? I'll ask him when he gets her. All right, peace out, man.